Welcome to the No Limits podcast, where breakthrough strategies in therapeutic education help neurodivergent children learn, connect, and grow in powerful new ways.
Hi, and welcome to the No Limits podcast. My name is Laura Jocelyn. I'm the CEO of Ability Plus Therapy, which is a pediatric rehab facility for the last 21 years. And I am co-founder of No Limits Academy, which has been a school for kids with disabilities for 18 years. And I'm also the co-founder of No Limits Method, which is how we teach at No Limits Method, at No Limits Academy, sorry. This is my son, Cheyne, and if you don't know his story, you'll have to go back a few podcasts and find my first one with him, and it kind of tells you his story and what we've been through and who he is. Well, Cheyne is right now a professor at the University of South Florida, and he is also going for his PhD, and that ends this December.
Yep.
And it is in philosophy, and especially is the cognitive science and disabilities. Right. So I'm going to kind of turn this over to him because we're going to talk about cognitive science, and we're going to talk about how that affects a kid with disabilities. And he's the expert. So you're literally writing your PhD thesis on it. So I'm going to just kind of let you go because you've seen it from both sides. I've been in it as growing up with a child, and now I'm seeing it and you've been a teacher at No Limits Academy because between your gap years, you were here with us.
I was teaching here at school.
You definitely were. So helped us develop this program. So
yes,
absolutely.
Ma'am.
So.
Okay, so first it might be worth it to explain very briefly what is meant by cognitive science. Okay, so just right off the bat, I can tell you that what it is it's an attempt to think scientifically about what it is to think and what it is to learn. So it's the scientific study, it's an attempt at scientifically studying thinking, okay? In that sense, it's different from, for example, neuroscience. It's different from the brain sciences. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not the same as the brain sciences, but obviously it involves the brain sciences.
Yep.
And cognitive science, as a growing field, it's still very much a growing field. It's still in its relatively early stages. What it is, it's a very multidisciplinary field, which is why it works so well integrated with a multidisciplinary method like the No Limits method. So things involved in cognitive science are going to be things like psychology, things like neuroscience, things like linguistics, things like philosophy, right? They're all involved in what cognitive science is. Now, let's talk about this notion of cognition. It's not a word that we often use, but we can sort of explain it much easier by just saying thinking. We want to understand how thinking works, okay? For all that we know about the brain and how the brain works, we still don't quite know what thinking is or how thinking works. There are many different theories within cognitive science that help us to try and understand this. And this is relevant for learning because obviously to learn, you have to think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yes. So this is relevant for understanding learning and education. Now, very often, the way that the modern education system works, there is this very typical assumption that students, whether they're typically developing or not, can be placed in a classroom, can be given the relevant materials, and just be expected to, in some way, hopefully absorb the information. Okay?
Yeah.
So the model of the student tends to be like a kind of passive absorber of information. They just kind of sponge up the information that we give them, or at least some of the information we give them. That's typically how the student is viewed. We here at No Limits Academy, and through the No Limits method, how we teach them, we see students totally differently. We don't see students as passive absorbers of information. We see them as active explorers of information. The information is out there. They need to directly interact with it as much as possible, and our job is to help them do that.
That's right.
In the way that they can. Okay? Now this is grounded upon this sort of notion in contemporary cognitive science that cognition, thinking, doesn't just involve what goes on in the head with the brain, but also involves the interaction between the brain, the body, and the person's immediate environment, including other people, including other people around them. So cognition is not just something that the brain does. The brain is obviously involved, but there's more to it. Okay? And when you start from a perspective like that, when that's your starting point, that's going to change how you view the student. That's going to change how you view what they learn, exactly what they need to learn, and how they're going to learn it. Okay?
That's what we're talking about from the student's perspective on
Right.
how the individual learns and how we can get them to absorb the information that we're giving them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times we need to be able to get them out of their wheelchair, or for, someone with autism or, on the spectrum, we need to have movement involved, right? We can't just always say, no, don't move, or,
Right.
So, or if someone with Down syndrome, a person with Down syndrome needs to have some type of sensory, which
Yes.
is very common, and we think that that's always just the go-to, but it's also how to fill their cup. Like, where is that perfect amount of learning, and how
Right.
do we do that through occupational therapy, right?
Right. And just to say a little bit more here, those of you that are out there listening, you might hear us talk about sensory integration, or you might hear us talk about, for example, social and emotional learning. Those things are very important, but they're not the whole picture.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. We're not denying that those are important. They are. Okay?
But it's a way to do it.
However, they're not the whole picture, and they are not the be-all, end-all of helping students with various disabilities take in the information that we need them to take in.
Correct.
Okay? And then that's why we need a more robust interaction between the people directly involved in the child's care and learning, parents, paraprofessionals, teachers, and occupational therapists. We need them to communicate on a more effective level so that we really understand the full scope of what each child needs to learn.
Right, and if we give them a structure, because that's how we teach our teachers, the teachers that come from other places, and how we teach them, that structure is the No Limits method.
Right.
Right, because we developed it as a training module at first for the teachers coming in here, because I knew what was wrong in the school system, and I knew what was not working in the school system through your brother Matt, who came to us, with many more difficulties in his life, nonverbal, drug addicted when we adopted him, and fetal alcohol syndrome, but also like some autism. He has tendencies for autism. So, there's a lot more that, when I was looking at this, I was like, okay, you're going to feel overwhelmed. Even if you're in a VE classroom, you're going to feel overwhelmed, because you can't figure out all those components. But if you get a structure and then you're taught over time, then you're more effective as a teacher. You're more effective as a therapist in a teaching environment, right?
Yeah.
So, and a paraprofessional is saying, this is where we're going, right? Everybody has to have kind of a guideline or structure, So that's what the No Limits method is. Our core values are communication, choice, meeting all the needs of the students. And that's physical, cognitive, emotional, and spiritual. And it's also neurodevelopment is another one. And then social development. And they just go in a circle, right?
Yeah.
And it's how we literally teach you.
It's a feedback loop.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's and in those, there's so many different micro credentials that you're like, okay, this is how I'm doing it. This is how little Janie learns. Oh, I should ask this question to a PT. I should ask this question to an OT. I should learn how my child learns in cognitive science, like how my student learns. So this is incredibly important. And if we want to really make a difference in the next 30 years, because the ADA has only been as old as you are,
yes,
right? So it's kind of new, but you can make a difference right now, in that child's life, in your student's life, in your own child's life. It's really important for you to have the knowledge, right? And that's what we want to do. And thank you so much. You can be as proud of your student, your child, as I am of my son.
Oh, thanks,
Mom. Thanks for being with us today. Please,
thanks,
you can hit me up in the comments, and I'm willing to talk and connect with all of you. Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.